Hey, Raindrop! I'm glad you could make it. Let's get started. Today, we'll be going over the process of how I designed my persona. I wanted them to look like me, but I also wanted to add some fantasy elements. Pointed ears are definitely my favorite. When I design a character, I like to think about something ABD Illustrate said in his video, Drawing My Main Men, where he drew Genshin Impact characters. He said that Genshin characters usually had at least one longer, flowy element, something he considered Genshin's calling card. The reason for these flowy elements is most likely because Genshin is a video game with lots of movement. A flowy element will help with making the character seem more alive and emphasize each step, jump, or attack a character makes. However, the design we're working on today isn't for a video game or animation, but I did still try to take the idea of flowy elements into account. Unfortunately, most of the elements I did end up adding are below the waist, the only part of the character I won't be showing when I use it as my sprite on YouTube. This character is still in its infancy, so they may change in the future. But with the lore I'm crafting, they might also have some different forms or looks as well. Stay tuned to see what I come up with. Now let's move on to the time-lapse portion of the video. My process typically consists of getting my ideas out on paper first. Once I've done a few drafts and gotten the piece where I want it, I begin translating the sketch digitally. The art program that I'm currently using is Clip Studio Paint. I use the mobile version on my phone, which sounds like a beginner art move, but I don't have a computer that works well enough to use for art, and I've drawn on my phone for years, so I just find it more comfortable. In my opinion, you shouldn't feel dissuaded to use your phone to do art, even if a big artist you like uses a fancy computer or tablet. Plenty of artists use different methods to create in their own way, so find what's most comfortable for you. For me, that just so happens to be sketching on paper, then using my phone to make it pretty. So just create how you want. Fancy equipment isn't everything. Anyway, art tangent aside. When it came to working on this character, my goal was to create a reference I could look at to draw them better. Making a reference sheet of your character is a big help in keeping them consistent, especially if you're going to be drawing them often. I'm not a big fan of creating big complicated designs, mostly because I don't want to be the one drawing them. I don't hate complicated designs though. It can just feel tiring drawing tiny pieces all the time. So I kept them simple. A baggy shirt with comfy sleeves, skin-tight pants, suspenders, and bangles. I did also give them a little earring and accessories on their shirt, but they aren't too complicated and have a deeper meaning for the character. I won't go too deep into their lore right now, but this character is supposed to be made of stardust and magic. That sounds really goofy to say out loud, but it is a simplified way to explain them for now. If you're interested, I can delve deeper into their lore at a later date. At this point in the time-lapse, I'll just be trying to figure out what colors and designs I want them to have on their clothes and accessories, so I'll just pop back in and out when I have something to mention about the process. At this point in the piece, you can see me coloring in the bangles on their wrists and ankles. I tried to incorporate my pride flags, but in hindsight, I'm not a big fan. I've been a part of the LGBTQ+ community for a long time, but the bi and trans labels are still new to me. I'm also not quite used to their colors when it comes to incorporating it into my art. I came out as non-binary in 2021, so I've gotten quite comfortable with the flag and its colors. But I still haven't used the bi and trans colors that much, so I'm not confident about having them in this design. The large amount of colors make the bangles look clustered. It was honestly difficult trying to fit all the little colored stripes into such a small space. Nonetheless, I do love the way all the silver ones look. They also fit better with the rest of the design, and even have some lore-specific meanings. On to the full drawing. Now that the reference is finished, I can move on to the full character drawn in my usual style. Translating them from the more chibi reference into my typical style was pretty easy. My art is pretty simplified as it is, so I didn't need to add any extra texture or details. I mostly just changed the proportions, defined the anatomy, and facial features. When I sketch something out on paper, it's not very easy to make anatomy fixes or big changes. When I'm working on it digitally, I have the advantage of being able to do so easily. So on occasion, you'll see me fixing up the odd anatomy mistake or weird posing. Unfortunately, I didn't fix everything on this piece. The posing on the arms ended up looking a bit off. Their anatomy looks good, but the way I have them swinging out doesn't quite seem right. Still, art mistakes are normal. Not everything we make will be perfect, and we'll be critical of it in hindsight. It's enjoying the creating of it that really matters. And if something with your art really doesn't feel right, feel free to try experimenting. Trying new things could definitely open up new avenues to change and grow. One of my favorite things about this piece is the hands. The way the lines separate the joints makes the character look like an automaton, which really isn't intentional, but I love how it turned out. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. I have a little message for you near the end. Then you can catch a glimpse of the drawings we made today. Thank you for listening. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for stopping by. It genuinely means the world to me. If you liked today's video, please leave a rating, or consider subscribing to see more. I hope to see you again soon, Raindrop.